2, 1, 0.
Jai Shri Krishna. Welcome back, everybody. Today we're doing another reaction video to a guru. This is a guru who actually comes from a Hindu tradition, Swami Rudrananda, also known as Rudi, a New York meditation teacher who passed away in the early 80s in an airplane wreck. His legacy continues, though, via Swami Chetanananda, or I might have mispronounced that, I'm sorry. The teacher in Portland, Oregon, who over the last few years has been coming into the news periodically for abuse of different sorts. Let me try his name again. Swami Chetanananda. I think that's right. Also, Rudi, for 2 years, was the guru of Franklin Jones, who would become Adi Da Samraj. That's how I discovered Rudi when I was a former devotee of Adi Da Samraj. Rudi's mentioned in the biographies about him. So, I thought we would react to him today, but it wasn't my plan. I actually was going to look at a Indian guru today who is quite popular, but I just recently discovered. And I'm on YouTube looking for videos of this teacher, and all of a sudden I saw something of Rudi. I'm like, oh, I bet that's a reading from one of the 3 books that came out, from his group. Nope, it's actually a recording of him speaking. And then I kept looking. I'm like, oh my God, there's video recordings of him. I didn't know those existed. So I never had Rudi on my list to do a show about. Never. It's kind of like the show I did on Mother Mira. I had no idea that she spoke, so I wasn't ever going to do a reaction to her. But as soon as I saw these videos of Rudi, I'm like, yeah, I want to do this, just out of interest of my own past spirituality, but also to share him with the rest of you who may have heard his name and didn't know he spoke, or you knew he spoke, but you didn't know anyone recorded it. That's what I should say. Now, I haven't watched these. I did just click on them and, to see what they were, because what they are is audio recordings with completely unrelated visuals from something else. I think one of these is an actual talk. They're all very, very short, and it's everything I could find of him from this movie project that was done about him, or still in the works, I'm not too sure. And they put up a bunch of videos to promote the movie. I did some more Googling, and this is it. This is all I can find of him. So it's actually going to be kind of a short show, I think, because these videos are pretty short. But I think this should be very interesting. So before we get there, if you want more information about Swami Rudrananda, Rudi, there is a link down below to his Wikipedia page that will tell you everything. How he grew up, what he did for work, because unlike a lot of gurus, he actually had a job, how he was influenced by the teachings of Gurdjieff and then became a member of Subud before finding his guru in Bhagavad Nityananda, and then for a while, Swami Muktananda, who he actually brought over to the United States. So if you know Swami Muktananda, you might know Rudi, because Rudi basically made his trip to America. I don't know if he had more than one, but at least maybe the first one or a second one made that happen. And then Rudi died, and as I've said, his teachings were formally continued by Swami Chetanananda, something like that, also known as Shoemaker, and then I don't know if there's anything of Rudi and Adi Da. There might be, but you can check that out below. Wikipedia full detail. It's not really necessary, I think, going into this though. And then there's also a link to sort of a legacy website dedicated to him. He wrote one book in his lifetime, which might be one reason he's not more known. Two books have come out after the fact. I had one at one point, and I read it 15 years ago. And when I left Adi Da, I got rid of it. I can't tell you what's in it. I don't remember. It's not the one that came out in his life. That's all I can remember. So, yeah. Oh, one more point I do feel I need to mention. One of these videos talks about Kundalini Yoga. I know, having read the Wikipedia, that Kundalini Yoga is the name of his teaching. So when we watch this video, keep that in mind. He's not necessarily referring to Kundalini Yoga as you may define it. I know he does refer to Shaktipat and other things, so I think everything else should be kind of familiar. But that term, I just wanted to give this little catch-22, not a footnote, to make sure when you're listening you don't get confused, and to remind myself not to get confused. So anyways, let's do some redecorating here and pull up our scoreboard. Excuse me. And yeah, they're all really, really short. All of these are like within 1 to 3 minutes long. And then the final one you see on this list, I'm not too sure if this movie trailer that's highlighted there is the same as what we've seen, or the same as what we're about to see, or if it's completely different. I noticed on the links when I pulled these YouTube videos, and the links are all down below as always, that the person posting had reposted a bunch of videos, so I had to go through it. Okay, this is the same one, this is the same one, but I didn't watch any of them. So this one, when we get to the last one, if we start duplicating, I'll just cut it early. Anyways, let's dive in to Swami Rudi, and yeah, let's see what we discover. I don't remember the book. I have no idea, and the Wikipedia doesn't really talk a lot about his theology. You sort of have to interpret what he might have taught by reading about the folks he learned under. So here we go. I've done no editing or anything. Left the music in. Hopefully YouTube.
But to grow as an individual, to understand that we attract from our being what we need. And I joked about it the other day.
And that is Swami Rudi, in case you don't know what he looks like. So if you see any photos of a big bald guy, that's him. And he lived in New York. I know he worked at the Village Vanguard, the club, for a while, and so I think where he lived and did his teachings is somewhere in the vicinity of the Village Vanguard in the village.
It's like picking up somebody else's eyeglasses and trying to see through them. I mean, your spiritual life has to do with God bringing you and attracting to you every single thing that you need, and it is exquisitely ground and fitted to you.
I was going to pause right there because that's a great statement that I think we often forget, because we want our spiritual life to look like somebody else who we're like really admiring. Oh my God, I want to be like you. But that's not how it goes. I quoted in another video that's worth quoting again. B.K. Shivani. Sorry, I have a book of hers over here. So I was just looking at it to remember. She talks about in this one video how if we all throw a ball up, everyone will throw it differently, and it will land differently. Ball may land immediately for some, and a year later for others, and the balls might be big or small. And she describes it as our karma. And so I throw my ball up, I get my ball back. That's my karma. That's my life. I won't get somebody else's ball. And if I'm open like this and someone else's ball's this big, well, that's not going to work out. So I want my ball. And it's tailored to us, as Rudi just said. And we have to remember that, because I think we do get jealous. Jealousy is an innate human instinct I think we all suffer from. I think the world revolves due to jealousy, actually. I think so much political, social upheaval is based on jealousy. The other thing he said that I really like is God gives you what you need. God does not give you what you want. And she just wrote a letter to someone the other day. He was asking for some help. As you see, I'm a musician, and he needed some music business help. So I did, after 2 weeks of racking my mind, and I told him right up, what I'm going to give you is what you need, not what you want. Because what you want is a hurricane. What you want, he actually wanted the fear of God, and he was throwing the idea of lawsuits around and telling everyone he was going to sue somebody. This isn't the first time this year he's been threatening this to some entity. But I said, calm down. That's not what you want, because you can't win. Or you have a really shaky foundation. What you need is something more like Dirty Harry, or a ninja who's very quiet. And I said, look, you could hate me for saying this. If you don't want to talk to me again, I'm fine with that. But if I gave you what you want, what type of friend would I be? I would literally be putting you into a worse situation and creating a horrible situation for you that might cost you time, money, your band, etc. So now I'm going to give you what you want. How often does God give us what we want and we hate God? Raise your hand. How much, how often, or how much of the time does God give us, let me rephrase what I just said. What I meant to say was, how often does God give us what we need and we hate God? Raise your hand. How infrequently does God give us what we want and we're also upset at God because, wait a minute, I wanted more. It's a never-ending thing. But we have to remember this, and we have to consider this in our spirituality. So, that's a great phrase. Love it. Let's just keep going.
It's made for you. You're attracting that which your being needs. And there is no finer mechanism in the whole universe. And you have to take it individually, not exchange lenses with somebody else, or teeth with somebody else, or brains with somebody else. You're an individual. And this person who is born deformed is attracting what they need. And the person who is born with more capacity is attracting what they need. But it's all individual. And this trying to look into someone else's, spiritual life and deciding where it is and how it is, not only doesn't benefit you, it also hurts them. You're upsetting this flow that's taking place in them.
That's an interesting point worth considering. So I said the world runs on jealousy. I want what you have, and I get aggressive because of that, and I end up hurting everybody. So he's right. In the last video clip, we saw him shaking his head. I don't know what that is. I think that's part of his Kundalini Yoga teaching, or something getting Shaktipat, in case you were wondering.
It is with resistance that we understand a conscious effort, not by this easy flow, but by taking an energy, we grow a level, and this thing is fighting not to be assimilated. It does not want to have us grow inside and expand, and we always bring about resistance. And if you work every day and feel the resistance in you and transcend that resistance, then you are working consciously.
How much of our spiritual life is simply resistance to something? Not giving in, not being free. How much of it? Raise your hand again. Interesting points to consider.
And you have to in yourself realize that you have every right to everything in a spiritual life. That you don't reach for it has to do with something in you which is sick, that cannot open, that does not have the self-esteem, that does not have the nourishment inside to do so. Then you take from them, you demand from them. They may faint giving it to you, but they'll revive and get stronger again. That is their function. Their function is to serve you spiritually. And I really love God. I truly love God. And I want to grow. And I don't care if I burn. I don't care what happens. I don't care what it cost me. I'm not concerned with that. Because I really can see how much I can still grow. And I am going to keep growing.
want to pause here. He just said, I love God. If you watched my video on Chandra Rudra, one of the criticisms I had was him is he never said God. He never spoke about God. It was always this entity, or he was like, well, love is this, and if you feel the love. No, I said, and I say it again, use the word God. We got the word. Use it. Be direct in what we're talking about, because you can actually kind of love God. God is an entity. God has a form. But this love energy, you can't love that. Yet supposedly we are to love God. God loves us. So this love energy loves us, and we're supposed to love it. You know how hard it is to love an abstract thing? I'm drinking some ginger ale. Love the ginger ale. Tastes good. Yep, it gives me love of the tongue, but you can't love it. No more than you can love my stuffed animal sitting here. You can love a being. You can love your spouse, your children, your relatives, etc., your friends, because they're entities. So this whole love of energy, of this, of that, and feel the spirit energy, oh, it drives me crazy. Because it's just creating this layer of Maya that you need to work through. Let's say God. Let's say God. Let's use the word. I joke, I went into a Unitarian church some years ago, Unitarian Universalist church. I went there 4 services. And I left disgruntled, because I felt like the word God was a 4-letter word. Don't say God, we might offend somebody, because, you have an image and you have a feeling and you have this. I don't want to say the word God. It might offend you. No, get over that. Just say it. Say the word God. God loves you and you love God. End of story. That sounds great. I can live with that. I love that. Love that directness. He's not afraid. I mean, this is a video from probably the 70s too. So he's not afraid. He's not part of the current cancel culture world of not trying to offend anybody. Quite the opposite. He's trying to wake people up. Now, there is, you could say, a second conversation to be had here, because the word God and Sanskrit and, Sanatana Dharma, I'm just letting that go for a minute. He's not using Sanskrit words. Yes, he comes from a Hindu influenced teaching or background, but, he's speaking in broad terms we can all relate to. And sometimes it's better just to use the broad terms that may not be a perfect translation, just to get people to pay attention. It's like if I said to someone, I'm Hindu, I have their attention. If I say to someone, I'm a Dharmi, or I'm a Sanatani, the look on their face is like, oh, is that a little cult? No, it's the oldest religion on earth. I literally said that to someone and they go, yeah, no, I don't think you know what you're talking about. Never heard of it. How many people are in this? Millions. No, sorry. They literally denied it because they'd never heard the term. But just by saying, I'm Hindu, oh, now we have a conversation. Because then they say, oh, well, I read a book once, etc., etc. So sometimes we need to use these terms even though they're not right. And so in this case, I'm all about it. Let's go back to this video. I think that might be it. This might be visuals of him. Always in the t-shirts. I've never seen a photo of him not in a t-shirt. Hopefully YouTube doesn't strike me for the music. If it does, I will be rebroadcasting this without music. But just know there's music in it. If you're not hearing anything right now. The reward for work is more work. And now we go into the next video about Kundalini Yoga, which I mentioned.
Kundalini Yoga is nourishing of all the centers in your body. It really is where man is a plant and he's a natural thing, And the reason the world is screwed up is because nobody is open inside. They can't receive energy and they have nothing to nourish themselves. People die without a rebirth because as they get older, this thing doesn't carry Shakti in them. The whole thing of knowing anything of your past life is that you can reach the nourishment of your past life. Well, your past life doesn't have to do with living 1,000 years ago. It has to do with yesterday, too. If you're not conscious of your past life of yesterday, what does it matter if you can remember what your past life was 1,000 years ago?
Mic drop.
So that you use everything and your consciousness grows. It's really what it's about. You know? And you get as big a life, out of it as you're able to hold on to inside. So that every experience, in a sense, you have one thread in here that goes from here right into paradise. Another one goes up there. And this is how you pull your life together, because these threads become a fabric. The rest of you becomes adhesive to it. And slowly you can surrender you as these things come, and you can change. You grow by putting layer and layer and layer and layer, and also these threads come this way, layer by layer this way, and threads this way weave a fabric,
Wow, I really like that. That was great. Wow, remember your past life yesterday. You know how many religious people I run into, and you probably do too, that are completely lacking in self-awareness. They're also incredibly arrogant, and they just don't seem to know what's up or down. Very narcissistic, and many of them deny, like, they don't want to tell you about their life. Oh, it's not that because it's bad. It's just, well, I moved on from that. They don't recognize how everything gets from one place to the other. You wouldn't be where you are today without that past life. And yet they can tell you about, well, I was the King of England, blah, 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 blah. I was a Jew in Germany and Nazi Germany, blah, 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 blah. I'm the anti-pope that, blah, 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 blah. Oh, but, I'm such a narcissistic fool in this life, and I don't know myself. That is such a good point. I have said many times on this channel, the basis of spiritual life is knowing yourself and being self-aware. For me, if you are not self-aware, forget enlightenment, forget anything else. You're not going anywhere. You're like an automobile without gas. But you're moving because somebody's pushing you. They're pushing this car. And you're like, oh, I'm going to get on the highway. Well, they're not going to be pushing you on the highway. That ain't going to happen. And you get on the highway and all of a sudden your car stops. Yeah, because the people left. They're going to waste time pushing you. And you're like wondering why. Why? Oh, but this is a Cadillac, or this is a Lincoln Continental, a Ferrari, a Tesla self-driving car. It's, whatever. Electric. Aren't you impressed by me? But they can't look behind them at the people who are pushing the car. It's an excellent bit of advice. Very impressed with this. This is a promo for the movie. If you want to check it out, rudimovie.org. For those of you who are watching this video and not seeing the audience.
To work for 3 months or 4 months and to grow, and certainly, if you weren't growing, you'd know about it from me, and not sit down and really make a tremendous effort to deepen your work permanently is really stupid, because nothing has value unless you're consciously aware of it. And no work, no benefit that you get will ever remain yours unless you sit down consciously and have within you a sense of new muscle, a sense of new value towards the work. And truly, work brings work. It brings energy, it brings opening of muscle, it brings enlightenment. You have to really get inside, yourself every few months and really, in a sense, take stock, feel, and then use it. It's really having a whole new set of muscles which you can use again. And if you don't do this, you'll lose any benefit, really, that you will have gotten.
I want to pause now. You said, maybe you caught it, you have to do this work every few months. So I believe life is cylindrical. I forget the word. I'm quoting a therapist I saw very briefly a long time ago. I was just having the worst time ever, and I went into her. She was a friend of a friend, and she's like, well, we'll talk, and in 3 months we'll see where we are. I'm like, well, why 3 months? She goes, because every 3 months life kind of changes. Just naturally, whatever you're doing now in the 3 months is going to change. Your moods, your feelings, your people around you, things change just naturally. So sometimes problems work themselves out, and we just need something to get us over the hill for like a month and a half. And about 3 months later, we're sitting there, and she goes, Aaron, there's no reason for me to see you. And I said, okay. She goes, you're fine, and you've been fine for a while, but I made a commitment to you. And I said, okay. And she goes, also, you've sat here and talked and diagnosed your own problem, and you did it very quickly. So this has just been enjoyable for me. But I've always remembered that. And when you look at people, things do change. But not everyone changes. I know people who I've been friends with for years, and they haven't changed. Their life has just been like nothing, nothing, nothing. Quite deliberately. They just have died. And then I know people who are spiritual, to put this in a spiritual context, who had a moment. They're enlightened. And they just live on their haunches ever since. And no matter what happens, they never reflect. And he's telling you to reflect. He's also not assuming that everyone he's talking to is an enlightened being. You are God, I am God, all this other stuff that gets touted by so many people nowadays. He's not saying that. He's saying to reflect, to go in. He's not teaching this, you are God, you're perfect, you're done, the end, and just live however you are right now for the rest of your life. No, he's saying to check in with yourself, and that is very, very important to remember. We need to be constantly examining ourselves, and, as he said, constantly growing. It's a very down-to-earth bit of advice. Let's keep going.
Over the period, say, of 4 months. So try to do this tonight, and certainly when Baba's here, it's again another reason. All of these things have to become reasons to become deeper, reasons to work harder. We find a million reasons for not working. I mean, I have a date, I have a movie, I have a theater, I have this, I have a headache, I have everything becomes a reason not to work. And to truly get anywhere spiritually, everything has to become a reason to work. It really all becomes inclusive, because as you work, time changes for you. Because your muscles stretch, these inner muscles stretch, your capacity to perform, everything increases. And you have to begin to realize you can do everything plus that, and everything plus something else. There's no end to it. I mean, I have a lot of people who wonder, how can you possibly teach here and teach in the country? They don't even know I have a business. They don't even know I have a million other things running for me. But it isn't that I can do all of them. I can only do all of them because I have so many different things to do, because everything balances everything else. It has to be only with really joy in your heart, gratitude in your heart, this thing of wanting to do and enjoying doing. When it becomes hard and it becomes terrible and it becomes a drag, it's because you make it that. You have to look at it and begin to find the extraordinary, the really extraordinary part of it, the wonderful things, the things that are full of wonder.
Interesting. Very interesting. All right, next clip.
To open to God, you have to first open to life. You have to live, you have to love, you have to enjoy and share, because one thing builds on the other. Spirituality is based on the value that you express successfully in the physical world. And you start doing that by seeing in other people God, by opening and sharing and being responsible and serving. And if you don't have the capacity, fake it. Do until you get used to doing, until you get rid of the paralysis in your heart and your hand, and you begin to feel maybe 6 months later that the doing has given you a reward. You have to do. It's very difficult, for anyone to support a spiritual life unless their heart is open to themselves. And we sit down and we try to meditate, we do all of these things. But if inside we really hate ourselves, it's impossible. You have to really work and really feel your heart open in your wish to grow. You have to really take a breath. You have to really concentrate and feel this heart chakra open, that it can receive. And that's why the wish, to grow, the deep wish to open to God is always the first thing. And it means that we are beginning to receive something, so we find ourselves acceptable because we're willing to reach for a more positive aspect of energy. We then accept ourselves.
So, fake it until you make it, baby. That was funny. But I will tell you a little secret about myself. If you had met me when I was young, I didn't talk like I do now. I was super shy. I didn't like talking to people. I didn't like hanging out with people. I was really uncomfortable just around people. I just couldn't connect with them. And my mom had given me a piece of advice once. She said, when you walk into a room, assume that everyone hates you. Then you won't want to walk in there, and you can leave and not with these, not be with these people who are just, not as good as you. That was her advice, because basically she felt no one was, whatever. And so I always assumed people hated me when I walk into a room. Well, until maybe I hit 40. And I'll be 47 in 2 weeks. And I hated myself. I really didn't like myself. There were times when I would speak to people. It was usually a friend. And it would open some doors for me. But I wouldn't just walk into a store and talk to a stranger. I do now. I get to know people. I live in a small town, I joke, because I go to the post office. They know my name. I go here. Everyone knows me, and they have a good time. Oh, hi, how you doing? And, you ask anyone I work with, they will tell you, like, life is a movie. Everywhere I go, I have interactions with people. I didn't have to, but I sold some jewelry the other day that I'd had kicking around forever. And I made a joke. I was like, oh, well, that just paid off one of the Iron Maiden tickets that I bought. And like, what? You're seeing Iron Maiden? Blah, 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 Iron Maiden, So it's like all these interactions that I just do. But that wasn't how it used to be. And I didn't like it. And I trained myself to fake it. I would pretend I was an actor. And I was an actor, or had been. I've done like 250 or so theater productions of every size and shape you can think of. And so I would go to work and pretend to be somebody. And that person was outgoing. That person liked themselves. And I would come home and I would watch movies with outgoing people. I was really into, for a year, Bruce Almighty with Jim Carrey. Because Jim Carrey is like one of the most open, outgoing, fun people I could think of. And I had it on a DVD. And I would just watch that like every night. And I would try to maybe imitate him, because the actor was going to be Jim Carrey. I was going to be Jim Carrey. And so I would go to work and I'd be really outgoing. And I had people say to me, you look like Jim Carrey. I don't know if I did, but something was happening. And then eventually I ended up moving. I was in Japan when all this was happening. And so then I came back to the States, and life changes and you're going through whatever. And this is when I saw that therapist, because things weren't going so well. And then I moved again, and I eventually stopped acting. Now, it took a long time, a very long time, and it took moving around and finding some stability in my life where I could just spend time with myself. But what I found had happened when I got to that point of stability, that I really wasn't acting anymore. I wasn't faking it. I had become very social. I had become very outgoing. And it would just happen. I wouldn't even know I was doing it, to anyone, anywhere. Now, I'm a little more cautious because some people just aren't up for it. But I became what I had been faking, and now I'm not faking it. I'm doing this live. You can see that. No script, no nothing. I make plenty of mistakes here. I don't mind. I don't care. When I was young, I would have cared. I became who I wanted to be. And you know what? I like myself way better now. I wish I wasn't in my late 40s. I wish I was younger, so I could enjoy more time enjoying myself. But he's kind of right. you kind of fake it. You kind of try to be a little more than you are, and then eventually you become something. Now, I didn't become Jim Carrey, obviously, though I did go through a Jeff Goldblum phase for a while. Didn't become him either. But you do end up becoming that, and you then like yourself before you even realize, like, oh, suddenly I like myself. I didn't even realize it. So you're totally right about that. So I do encourage you to fake it till you make it. You might be shocked. You also have to have patience. Patience is the key to so much. So much. But yeah, I kind of like that. It's funny, but then my own life is reflected where I became someone I wanted to be. You know? Okay, let's keep going. Yeah, if you think I'm crazy now, you would never recognize me as a high schooler. I was just, whatever. I don't know why the computer keeps doing this.
That when the clouds get black and it's lightning and the wind starts blowing, it's going to rain, right? It's all building up. Nature is showing you these gathering of forces, you know? And a gathering of forces is always before God sends a gift, you know? But we look at it the other way, you know. Well, this is a day to stay home. And your astrology chart will always tell you, you know, this is a day you can hit somebody in the head and justify it. Because it's a day where so much consciousness is required to live, you know, that you are not expected to do it. Understand? But the gathering of external forces, you know, represent always the need for more consciousness, the need for more discipline. So that when this gift does come, you have to really be very tender with it, very conscious with it, because you have this treasure, you've paid for it, and you're in a weakened condition, because you have fought so many of these forces in preparation for the opening. The opening takes place, and you say, oh, now I can relax. And while you're relaxing, somebody comes and takes this away. You have let down your guard because you think that the working and the consciousness and the reward means it's over. That is one half of spirituality. The other half is to go to sleep, lock your doors and windows then, you know? You really watch the reward like it's the great treasure of your life. Because the chances are you will have it, you might succeed in getting it, and then somebody will come and wham, right in the kidney, you know? The phone will ring and you're sitting there, you know, relaxed and without any suspicion, and somebody will say, your favorite friend just got hit by a car with this, and what happens? Voomp! This energy comes out of you, and you have a miscarriage. After all that work, this always takes place. It is a basic law of spirituality. And when you find this resistance, when you find this obvious lack of result, then you know that you need much more energy to break through. You understand? It's a very positive thing because you have reached a change of level, a change of dimension. And usually when people have this, they consider that a bad day. Something is, you know, I can't do this, I can't break through, and they stop working. Well, this is the reward. This futility, this hitting a level that you can't break through is the beginning of the reward. You have taken yourself from one level to the beginning of another level, and you meet the resistance of the next level. So if you just stop working, you'll come right down again. But if you keep working, you may have a day, a week, 10 days of unbelievable frustration where you're working, nothing happens. And you work again, nothing happens. But if you keep it up, you are breaking through something which has imprisoned you. Either a pattern or a whole new experience, a whole new enlightenment. The tendency is to externalize it. You know, you become frustrated. You work and you work in your meditation and nothing seems to happen, and you work again and nothing happens. So it's very easy to go out and fight with somebody in a grocery store or somebody on the bus or something like this, because this energy starts to get neurotic. It's getting frantic, you know? And what it's ready to do is to burst. But if it bursts inside, 6 days later it will break right through another level. you have to become consciously aware that these days are really the precious days, because you're building up, before this thing breaks, and you're really about to receive something. It's the most important time. That's a day that you have to express tremendous discipline, because you're edgy, you're, like this, and it's really God testing you to see whether you can sustain this deeper effort so that you are responsible when you receive this gift. Because
Wow.
you really then will get something tremendous.
Wow. God testing. That's, wow. I believe God tests us. Yeah, I believe God tests us. So if you like what Rudi is saying, he has 3 books that are available. I just went on Amazon and thrift books. They're all out there. Some a little pricier. I actually just ordered one. He did one called Spiritual Cannibalism in His Life. Then there's one of Rudi in his own words, and then Entering Infinity. And I just ordered the Entering. I just ordered the in his own words one. I was like, I really like what I'm listening to here. This is the 3rd time I've done one of these reaction videos and ordered a book. Is Rudi enlightened? Is he a God man like Adi Da promoted himself as? I don't know. I prefer to kind of not make a judgment call on that, but he definitely is a very intelligent, smart man, aware of something. So he is in an aware state, I would say, and comes off as very humble. I mean, this is, the 70s too, before the big New Age thing of the 80s and The Secret and all that, and Deepak Chopra. He's definitely really interesting. Wow, I'm really impressed when I'm hearing him say. It's so different than other things I've heard. It doesn't come off as your normal New Age stuff. It doesn't come off as, Gajanta Rooter type gibberish. It's really down to earth. It's spiritual, but it's not necessarily tapping into a Hindu tradition. He's kind of wiped away anything ethnic about this, doing the Swami Vivekananda approach. But I'm really impressed by it. Obviously, I just spent $8. I'm really impressed by this. Wow. I'm. I don't think I said a single bad thing yet. Is that a first? I think I have one video left. Yeah, it's the trailer. Which I said may have stuff we've already seen. Wrong button here.
It has to be only with really joy in your heart, gratitude in your heart. This thing of wanting to do and enjoying doing, When it becomes hard and it becomes terrible and it becomes a drag, it's because you make it that. You have to look at it and begin to find the extraordinary, the really extraordinary part of it, the wonderful things, the things that are full of wonder. A teacher is not just to bring flowers to, he's to give you a shit to, and he's to break it down and give you back something wonderful. You have to be willing to get rid of yours, to give it away, and you also have to be willing to take something wonderful in return. It really has to do with your capacity to be intelligent and to realize it's your right. It really is your right as a human being. It really is a marriage of your energy and something higher. The only thing that can come out of it is something more wonderful. And you have to meet the force that way. Kundalini Yoga is nourishing of all the centers.
So I just want to say that, according to Wikipedia, Rudi did eventually disconnect himself from Muktananda due to the news of assaults and sexual whatever, and all the controversies you've probably heard about if you know anything about Muktananda.
In your body. It really is where man is a plant and he's a natural thing, And the reason the world is screwed up is because nobody is open inside. They can't receive energy and they have nothing to nourish themselves. People die without a rebirth because as they get older, this thing doesn't carry Shakti in them. The whole thing of knowing anything of your past life is that you can reach the nourishment of your past life. Well, your past life doesn't have to do with living 1,000 years ago. It has to do with yesterday, too. If you're not conscious of your past life of yesterday, what does it matter if you can remember what your past life was 1,000 years ago? If you love God, you have to love life. You have to really begin to understand that every single thing that happens, you know. I mean, you walk out of a car, you step in dog shit, then you have to think how lucky you are. You know, it means that something good is coming. You know, it really is what it is. But if you sit there and scream at every dog in New York, it's not going to help you. You know? So you have to really begin to do these things where you turn everything into energy, everything into surrender, everything into work. And Kundalini Yoga is opening all of these muscles, the muscles of self-pity, the muscles that haven't been energized, all of this. And you suddenly say, look, it's you. It's not them. It's never anyone outside. It's you. And you're living for yourself. You're not living to spite somebody. You're not living to show somebody else how wonderful you are. You want to live and be happy. Well, it's really to change. I mean, to accept and to take all these things is really to accept the potential within yourself to change and to grow, not to stay the way you are. Rejecting is to stay the way you are. So it's your right to take it, and it's essential for me that you take it too. So you have to really open in your heart and bring your mind down here and open and ask and want.
Wow. So, rudimovie.org on Vimeo and DVD. Check it out if you like what you've just seen. Wow. I don't know what to say. That was really good. So let's go back to the beginning. Wow. I'm really impressed by him because of the way he speaks, and it's so different than others we have watched here. Not that what he was saying is revolutionary. You know, it's not shake the earth. But honestly, a good spiritual teacher doesn't need to have a revelation. A great spiritual teacher doesn't need to reinvent the wheel. Maybe that's not always a good thing. They need to bring the teachings that have been proven true. They need to bring them to you. Now, I could criticize him and say that he is not teaching a Vedic path, or a Hindu path, or a Sanatana Dharma path. He's not mentioning the scriptures. And you know, I like my scriptures. Anyone who watches this knows I do like my scriptures. But I come and go. On one hand, I say, yeah, we should learn the scriptures. We should read the scriptures, and we should share them with each other, the good and the bad. We should study them. You know, and yes, they're hard to read and they take time, but we should make the time, or find others who are reading them and can share them with us. You know, books on tape, whatever. On the same level, sometimes people, they're not ready necessarily to talk about Rama. They don't know themselves yesterday. They may not know themselves at all. So discussing what Rama did in the wilderness may not land home because it's not relevant to them. Saying to them, well, you know, I know your job sucks and you hate your boss, but remember what Arjuna said to Krishna, and then Krishna responded. That's not going to land home necessarily. Sometimes they just need something basic. God loves you. God will give you what you need, and that thunderstorm isn't a bad thing. So a part of me is like, yeah, we need the scriptures, but on the other hand, sometimes we don't, and not everyone does. Sometimes we just need to work on ourselves, and in the next life we can deal with the scriptures. You know? I had this same feeling when I talked about Santosha Tantra in an earlier reaction video. She's a lot like Swami Rudi, um, except she has tied to Adi Da after his death as his consort, according to a dream she had. She's just super down to earth, super basic, super heart level. Nothing fancy. I don't even know if she's read the scriptures other than maybe the Bhagavad Gita. And I know she honors the tradition in some way, shape, or form, but she doesn't share that message of whatever. It's just very basic. And I really like that. So, you can criticize me and going, well, nothing he's saying. I got it. I think I've recognized that fact. And you could say that nothing he's saying is crazy. It's just basic common sense. Okay? Go listen to the John DeRuiter thing or Eli Jackson Bear and my criticisms of them, where it's more than common sense. It's like almost manipulative. This is he's just saying, this and just giving you stuff. And, Santosha Tantra and Mother Mira, it's common sense, but a lot of teachers are not preaching common sense. And maybe that's the thing you can take away from this today, if nothing else. A lot of them are not preaching common sense, and that you don't have to have someone who's reinventing the wheel to be a great guru. They can be saying very simple things. And yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to thank you for hanging out with me. This was very interesting. I really enjoyed doing this. I learn a lot. Hopefully you do too. And I've made you aware of some teachers you may not have known about. We have lots more. I found online some lists of gurus, just straight ahead lists, and I just cut and pasted them and they're tucked into my what to do on YouTube list. And so there is a lot of teachers that I am not going to have any connection with at all, that are just pulled from the list, find some YouTube videos and watch. So a lot of them in the future I won't know about. This one I kind of do, but hopefully I've been fair to him. I got nothing bad to say about him from the little bit we saw. I don't know. I'll read the book, maybe make a video of that down the road. Until then, yeah, thank you for joining me. Thank you as always. It means a lot. All the best to you in your spiritual life and your spiritual search. And thank you for joining me in another hour of reacting to these teachers. And may you be blessed. Jai Shri Krishna. Om Namo Narayanaya.